That goes it all. Welcome back to Patterson L Properties. Hopefully, you guys having a great and exceptional day. All right. So, if you don't know, Patterson L Property wholesale real estate in the DMV area and the Reading, Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area, all throughout that area. So, come check us out. All right. So, remote work. That's today's subject matter. And I don't have my microphone plugged up. So if I sound a little funny right now, my apologies. I'm like, something's missing. There's always something. So anyways, so remote work, I remember when the pandemic first happened, 2020, even me as an employee, first time I was ever told, hey, you're going to be working from home and we don't know when you're going to come back until they get this whole thing squared away. Okay. So I said to myself, as the world shut down, dude, I knew back then that I said, this is going to change the world forever. Like now, so now we're in November, going into December. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, by the way. We're going into December, last month of 2023, and the world, for the most part, is open again. You still have people that wear their masks. When I get on a plane, I wear my mask, whatever. People take their vaccines. They do what they do. Some people don't. Some people do. Me, myself, I became much more healthier, health conscious from an immune system standpoint. So I started drinking more, eating oranges, taking turmerics, drinking more teas, immune system boosters. And I'm thankful that I haven't been sick. And this is just me. I'm not a medical. I'm not giving out any medical profession. I'm just saying, I'm thankfully I have not caught a cold since like 2017, 18. And this 2023 going to 2024. So between me working out, me being, clean as possible, hygiene is a big thing for me. But me trying to ensure that I keep myself as from as far as immune system, try to keep it as healthy as possible. That's helped out tremendously. So, but I'm going on a tangent here. But hey, I only make one video a week, so why not when it comes to this channel? But anyways, long story short, I knew back then by the summertime of 2020, I said the world's never going to be the same again. And another thing to take into consideration is that having a job is never going to be the same again. On my other channel, Larry's Anything Goes LLC, I've made a multitude of videos talking about how people took pay cuts because they did not want to work in office. They love working from home. As the year 2023 comes to an end, you still have this big movement of remote work. Hey, the last 2 years, it's been normal for employers to say, hey, remote work 100%, remote work 50 to 30%. People want to at least be able to stay home at least two to 3 days a week, if not 5 days a week, because they got used to that being the new norm. But this has affected commercial real estate, especially major cities, in a tremendous, tremendous way. Okay. And I predicted this was going to happen during the pandemic. Commercial real estate started to have a minor decline during 2007, 2008 economic downturn when the stock market went to crap, the real estate market went to crap, and a lot of companies went away, and a lot of companies had to cut jobs, and a lot of jobs and companies never came back, never fully recovered. All right. But just like lots upon lots of jobs never came back from the economic downturn from that era, according to the article that I read the other day, employers are attempting to call remaining workers back into the office. Remote and hybrid work has staying power. It really does. And before I even go on, I always say, especially with the youth is like, hey, and even with people like me, we got a taste of what I call the good life. Being able to work from home, saving money on gas, saving wear and tear on your vehicle, not having to pay tolls, because in every major city now you have a toll road. Every major metropolitan area there's a toll road. Being able, if you have kids, being able to spend time with your loved ones. Me, I have dogs, being able to spend time with my dogs more. Being able to get more sleep. Quality of life has gone up tremendously. Being able to work remotely. Okay, it's gone up tremendously. So, and during the pandemic, a lot of people's like, hey, my quality of life matters more to me than anything else. And that's the thing. People want to be people who are regular working people. We want to be good at our jobs. We want to get our jobs done. But we want to have a great quality of life. All the money in the world means nothing if a quality of life sucks. Damon Dash says it. He's around millionaires and billionaires all the time that are the most miserable people on the planet. I'll leave it at that. But anyways, today urban office attendance is down, and this is as of 2023, is down 30% from pre-pandemic levels. Although numbers vary by city, industry and neighborhoods, et cetera, and so forth. For example, workers come into the office about 3.1 days in London in the UK per week, while it's about 3.9 days in Beijing. However, if you look at cities like Washington, D.C. and New York City, the mayors of those cities have called out remote workers, especially in New York City, as being lazy. And I just say that because I'm not a big fan of any politician on any side, because everything in the United States of America is about a capitalistic play. The reason why the mayor said that was because their major cities, aka their downtowns, have lost a tremendous amount of revenue throughout the pandemic. Okay, sales taxes, parking services, all public transportation, especially in a city like New York when it comes to the metro, taxi cabs, Ubers, and then of course, restaurants, markets, convenience stores, et cetera and so forth, where any place that a person needs to go get something, or people where they want to dine, they have lost a tremendous amount of money because people don't want to, especially, nothing against New York City, but I'd rather be in Los Angeles or San Diego any day than be in New York City. At least it's a little bit more beautiful. There's beautiful beaches nearby and beautiful mountains. But anyways, I digress. But at the end of the day, it's all about money. And they call them lazy and influencing power entities to ensure that more people come back to work. Like I said, which rarely translates to those entities is they lose tax sales, personal property taxes. That's another thing, because if you're losing commercial real estate, and if you're losing people that don't want to live in or can't afford to live in these downtown metropolises, because that's where every downtown in the United States is at this point, it's for the well-to-do. I don't care if it's in Jackson, Mississippi. I don't care if it's in DC, Philadelphia, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. It's for the elites nowadays. So the well-to-do class. And at the end of the day, when you lose people that are coming to these places, because 9 times out of 10 regular working people go to downtowns for two reasons. Number one, they're visiting, so they're tourists and want to see. Number two, I'll say 3 reasons. That's what visitors want to go, tourists. Number 2, people work there. Number 3, people want to see a show there. Okay, so that's just, and if you're only coming to a downtown area because you want to visit because you're a tourist, especially if your city's not a tourist city, that's one stream of revenue, but that's not an everyday thing, especially people that want to go to an event. An event doesn't happen every day, so that's not an everyday thing. But most people have to work 5 days a week. Now, and it could be any day of the week, but most people work 5 days a week. That's that revenue that feeds the lifeline of an economy. And this is why you've had mayors, and then publicly or under the table, or behind closed doors, not under the table, behind closed doors, say, hey, we need to get people back, talking to corporate America, other entities, say, hey, we need to get these people back to work because we're losing money. And that's the beautiful thing about the pandemic. It really showed you, hey, everything is a capitalist country, nothing wrong with that. Everything's about making a money move. That's why I always said, make money moves, or you're going to live broke like a fool. Because if you don't look at things from that perspective, then I don't think you can understand the United States of America. Period. I just don't. You're not going to be able to play. You're going to play in this thing called capitalism, but you're going to play to lose and not play to win. The system is built off of winners and losers. Nothing wrong with that. That's why people come here. But if you want to be a winner, you got to start thinking like a winner. So I'm leaving it at that. I don't take any political sides. I think both sides are full of crap. So I'm very, very neutral. Don't care. Don't care about Democrats. Don't care about Republicans. I don't vote. I've lost the will to do that because, like I said, when my economic interests are not being talked about, then there's no reason for me to. It's like I look at life like I look through real estate. If I'm a buyer, there's something in it for me. If I'm the seller, There should be something in it for me. I'm not going to buy a property if there's nothing in it for me. I'm not going to sell a property if there's nothing in it for me. So I'm not going to vote if there's nothing in it for me. Okay, that's just not how I operate. But I'll leave it at that. So vote for who you're going to vote for. Don't vote. Don't care. Doesn't affect me. I'm going to make, we live in you know how beautiful of a country we live in. You don't have to speak English. You don't have to have a degree to be able to make money moves in this country, to make something of yourself. You just got to have the right mindset. Always remember that. But I digress. But anyways, everything is always about money, regardless, like I say, what side on the political side that you're on. Don't consider that, all in all, that is the good news for global office use. Not just United States, but for the global aspect as well, or for the retail and restaurant businesses around them. In the United States, commercial real estate company Cushman and Wakefield estimates that there will be more than $1.1 billion square feet of office space sitting empty by the end of the decade. And among the 9 cities it studies, McKinsey predicts a 26% drop in office property values from 2019 to 2030, which is the ballpark of $800 billion when adjusted for inflation. Again, that's just a moderate read. In a severe scenario, the consulting company says the plunge could actually be as steep as 42%. And I can believe this because we definitely live in a more digital world heading into 2024. And in order for corporations to remain competitive when it comes to obtaining and maintaining an intelligent, vibrant, cohesive workforce, the article ended on this note stating that it's tempting to pull out a tiny violin for the real estate titans watching their profits shrink. And I couldn't agree with that statement more. Because this just means that they, like everybody else, as far as especially working people, had to adapt and overcome. But the financial shakeup, the report adds, threatens the economies of cities more broadly. Empty cities will struggle to combat housing crisis, care for its most vulnerable people, or build sustainable public transport systems. And most overpriced American cities will continue to struggle as more corporations leave, then more commercial real estate properties could go into default / foreclosures, abandoned buildings, etc. And the main reason why I say that is because more cities, in a sense, could become the next Baltimore and Detroit. And when I say Baltimore and Detroit, and there's been other major cities that have been like this, like the city where my dad's from in Richmond, Virginia, used to be a desolate place because a lot of factory jobs left. A lot of oil, gas companies left. So, and it's just because, between factories and tobacco companies and the state government, that's what made the city of Richmond a vibrant place to be. Same thing with Detroit. It was what made Detroit was the auto industry. What made the Midwest was factory jobs. Whether if it was steel mills, as places that are known as called the Rust Belt states, that kind of industry. They make plastics, forks, whatever. All those jobs went overseas. They went to Central South America. They went to all over parts of Asia, things of that nature. So that's just one thing to take into consideration. But at the end of the day, a lot of cities could become more desolate places because we are in a place now where a lot of companies don't need as much office space as they used to. A lot of major corporations don't need as many people as they used to. A lot of major corporations can save much more money by not having their offices in a downtown city. They can have them in a suburban area. So, like where I'm from, the DMV, a lot of corporations are not in the downtown Washington, D.C. A lot of in the city of DC at all. They operate in the state of Maryland or the state of Virginia because, one, they're suburbs. Two, their workforce would rather live, 9 times out of 10 they have a family, so the workforce would like to at least be near a metro and at least be in an area where it's a nice suburban community. So that is one thing to take into consideration. And that's how it is, whether it's in the Midwest or the South or the West Coast and whatnot. Most people don't want to work in the city because what do you have to do in the city? Take public transportation or pay to park. So a good chunk of your salary is going towards your transportation to and from work. And so that's and in today's inflationary times, that sucks a lot of money away from you, number one. And then two, for a lot of people, that wanes on their quality of life. That's something to take into consideration. But I can see more and more cities, major cities in the United States of America, becoming more desolate places just because of that. At least the downtown areas. You're gonna, I always say, especially from a commercial real estate aspect, you're gonna have to give more people incentives. I mean, not even just me. I'm talking about the younger generation. I'm 40 years old, so I'm talking about the young 20 somethings now, the teenagers now, people who grew up with cell phones. There's a lot of jobs out there where you cannot even have your cell phone in the facility that you work in. So that's going to turn a lot of these young people like, I can't have my cell phone on me. I'm good. That's just that's just one aspect. And now you have I can't work from home. I'll take a pay cut. There's no point of me having to come in here when I don't have to come if I can get my job done, even though, like I said, it's been shown that productivity has intensified more for corporations, especially given the fact that there's less office politics and office drama. When people are talking, they're getting down to the brass tactics of the nitty gritty of what needs to get done, more productivity. They're not having a meeting about a meeting about a meeting to actually be more productive and more robust. But I digress. But when it boils down to the real estate aspect of it, I just don't see the incentive for a lot of corporations to have you in that facility. If the work is getting done and people don't have to be micromanaged, that's an efficient company to me. But what do I know? And then that means if you even have commercial space, you have less space. You have less space. Let's just say you don't have a whole building. Let's just say you have one floor or one small area of a floor or whatnot. So it's just like, that's just what it boils down to. A lot of places will be empty because, I mean, heck, even when I'm from the DMV area, Crystal City used to be a vibrant place with a lot of corporations and government entities. Now it's a place where you don't have basically you have 2% possibly of government agencies in Crystal City, which is right next to Washington National Airport, Reagan National Airport, and right next to Washington, D.C. But you have a lot of corporate buildings that used to have a lot of corporations. Those corporations have left, and those buildings now have been turned into retail stores, or they've been turned into apartment buildings. So if you're a person who, from the DMV area, a lot of people work for the government, a lot of people in the military have an association with the military, a lot of people work for major corporations that are considered government contractors. But that area is access to the Pentagon, which is the biggest federal government building in the whole country. That area has access to downtown DC. That area has access to the Washington National Harbor. So a lot of commercial entities have transformed those buildings into what used to be vibrant corporate buildings. As I said, this is just one part of America, to apartment buildings and apartment buildings / retail stores, grocery stores. Transformation. And I saw this transformation happen from 2010 to 2023. This is before the pandemic. I saw that transitioning happening then. But now, like I said, things have changed. It's a different world. Like back then I was in my 20s, and being at work was a normal thing. Now that I'm in my 40s, being able to work from home has become a normal thing. So, and as much as a lot of corporations have basically been finagled into having to bring their workforce back, because once again, everything's about the money. So I'll leave it at that. But anyways, one frequency floated solution is office to residence conversions, which I just spoke about. That's what happened in Crystal City, which is located in Arlington, Virginia, which borders Maryland and Washington, D.C., with some major projects already underway. As critics point out, these developments are typically luxury buildings, and they are for the elite and don't meaningfully address housing needs for everyone else. I could not agree with that statement more. Real estate in the world's superstar cities has not kept up with the shifts in behavior caused by the pandemic. The report writes, what cities need it suggests, are buildings that serve multiple purposes, mixed-use neighborhoods, and flexible spaces that match flexible work. The city's vibrancy is at risk, it adds, and they will have to adapt. I could not agree with that statement more. You have more of these mixed-use facilities, where you might have, like I said, retail stores, you'll have apartment buildings, or you have mixed-use facilities where it's an office and apartment buildings. Because you don't have a, corporations specifically don't have a need to have 8 floors in a building anymore. This is not the Wolf of Wall Street days. So the game has changed. And as much as everybody wants things to go back to the way life was in 2019 before the pandemic, it never really will. So on that note, do the great D3 things, like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. And as I always say, make money moves, or you're gonna live, bro, like a fool. Take care.